illegally drugged by lithium. I've been doing a good deal of research lately. If you're a newsletter subscriber, you already know that I don't know how long ago it was. I ordered some books because things are impacting us here, especially myself. And I'm hoping that by understanding the technology and the biological mechanisms of the synbio agenda, that I will be able to figure out some treatments, because I am not one who is problem-based, but who is solutions-based, and that's how my husband is as well. Another reason why I have been digging pretty deep into a lot of research as to what is actually manifesting before our eyes is that my husband, Dave, as you guys know him, he of course does landscaping, handyman services, mowing, and that means that he needs to be able to at least sometimes have an idea of what the weather is going to do. So I'm hoping that by, again, understanding the technology, that I will be able to hopefully help him out in that regard. We'll see. I don't know yet. I will drop links to a couple of books. They are, of course, not written by me, and thus I cannot endorse all statements therein, but there are probably thousands of citations in each of the two books that I'm going to link to below. And when I buy such books, I'm generally buying them for the citations, and then I look up the original source documents, because of course most science today is not scientific. We've been in the replicability crisis in science for decades. It's not a new issue. And of course I will link to, let me see if I can find this. Whoopsie, let's see. Let's move this down here a little bit. I apologize, I'm still pretty new to showing my screen, but I want to show, just for one example, about the integrity of scientific inquiry today, or the lack thereof. Let's see if, no, it's not showing there. Science, I think it might be from this article here. It's an old article, so apologize, it's taken me a minute to find this article. Is this it? Yeah. So this, I published this December 13th, 2019. This is a former postdoc at the U.S. National Cancer Institute. He made up data for 59 experiments that never happened. He took the money for the experiments on cancer from the U.S. National Cancer Institute. This means taxpayer funded these 59 experiments. He took the money. He didn't have to pay the money back. He got caught. He agreed to have any federally funded research supervised for a year beginning on August 8th. That means that this guy is now allowed, unless he's, I don't know, maybe a taxpayer took him to court or something. He's allowed to do science with taxpayer funding. So, why we can't always trust science, that's over on the website. Yeah, so when I am skeptical of studies, I have good reason to do so. Retraction watch, presuming it's still up. Let's see if it's still up. Former postdoc, faked data from almost 60. Yeah, it's still up here. Yeah, I haven't looked at retraction watch for a while, because I don't look at most studies these days because almost everything is junk. So, I have already shared about a couple of books. Lithium is going to be the topic of this discussion today. If you see pink or red, my pictures are not good. The pictures are not good. I took these Oops, that is not part of it. That was one of Dave's old cell phones that I'm trying to sell. These pictures I took, I believe, on October 22nd, 2024. Maybe it was the 21st. Maybe it was the 22nd. I don't know which. At dusk. I wish I had taken pictures that morning, because that morning at dawn there was most likely a drone with a cloud behind it, a contrail, according to some, and it was very clearly pink. Again, my camera is not amazing, so these colors are not really true to what we were seeing, and obviously live in a woods, so vision of the sky is limited. But you can see some here of what we were seeing that evening. So there's that. Also here there is increased surveillance, because this week an additional drone was spotted by my honey in the morning going over our house. Now for at least 2 years for sure, there's been a surveillance drone going over our neighbor's house, typically around dawn, and because it's just like clockwork, it's definitely a drone. It's not someone flying a plane. And then also recently, I've been looking, and Dave has been mentioning to me, sometimes he comes in and says, hey, go out and look. At dawn especially, there's a certain time when there's too much light from the sun for there to be stars visible, but the lights that you can see in the sky, those are the SpaceX et al. Dirigibles, balloons, satellites, call them what you will. And there are more of them in the sky again now. It's too much out of the scope of this discussion to address right now, but in reality, we've surpassed 5G. The satellites and the technology of the satellites, dirigibles, balloons, interacting with the small cell towers, that's actually 6G. And then 7G is basically when the whole Earth is saturated, and that's when things are really going to be dystopian. The whole Earth travaileth and is suffering right now. All of creation is suffering. Dave sees evergreen trees across, I think, 4, 5, 6 counties. He's in weekly typically, and many of the evergreens in most counties are dying or dead. I didn't take a picture, but some of our trees are actually flowering right now in late October. What was that from? Messaging, but we have to cut officials some slack because it doesn't. I don't know what that's about. Sorry about that, but we're definitely in the 6G field, and it could be argued 7G just because the ionosphere is so saturated. Our air is just so saturated. All right, but lithium. Lithium is one of the things that's sprayed. It used to be easier to find this sort of information online than it is now. It's commonly used in mental health. I, of course, used to be a social worker in mental health. But that was over 10 years ago, the last time I was in that field, so I don't know if it's still prescribed a lot or not. But it induces catatonia, or catatonia, however you wish to pronounce it. That means that people are in a catatonic state. They are unable to exercise critical thought. It causes memory loss. Struggles cognitively are vast from lithium. it's turning my hens into bird brains. And it is a metal, of course, so spraying it in the air offers multiple so-called benefits. It's not just dual use, it's got a whole lot of uses. Okay, so metals, of course, act as antennas for non-native EMFs. Non-native EMFs coupled with the air that is saturated with metals, that permits geoengineering. So in order for geoengineering to be effective, and again, see my citations below of the books that I recommend. Well, okay, so the books are highly technical in nature. If you have the cognitive capacity, and you are curious, and you, like me, are trying to find out more about the problem so that you can figure out solutions, then you might consider them. But for most people, they're probably too technical, and honestly, some sections are just mind-numbingly boring, and some things are just way over my head, honestly. But I'm not speaking without having done my due diligence, which is why I'm showing you some of the things here on lithium specifically. Since the air is saturated with the suspended metals, those ions permit surveillance literally anywhere, and it reduces the number of towers needed, so there's less work and expenditure, and of course we're in a died suddenly epidemic, and a lot of the people who work in the telecom industry, I have spoken with, I haven't spoken with a lot of them, but I've spoken with a lot of people who work within the telecom industry, specifically AT&T techs, who were techs for DSL or landlines, and a lot of them started with the 5G training and went, oh no, due to the health impacts, and they were not willing to make that sort of risk. So there are a lot of people who are skilled in that industry who will not work on a 5G tower. So the air being saturated with the suspended metals helps reduce the reliance of the industry on such people, because the air then becomes a cell phone tower in and of itself, so the signals go farther. Also, obviously depop, because drugs kill, don't do drugs, kids. Lithium is a drug, it is a pharmaceutical, pharmakia. What goes up, of course, must come down. So the plants are uptaking the metals. This leads to plant die-off, and the trees become antennas because they're so saturated with metals. And of course, a lot of this is nanometals as well. Lithium, in and of itself, when used with humans, I believe it was used with MK Ultra, but please don't quote me on that. MK Ultra, of course, is not a theory. It has been very publicly disclosed on mainstream news for decades. But lithium is used to induce a slave mentality. It prevents critical thought, as I've already discussed. It prevents original thoughts. It blocks your creativity. So those such as myself who are attempting to be creative in understanding the technology and figuring out solutions, which, by the way, be sure to subscribe to my newsletter. Please subscribe everywhere. If you go to our website and just go to the homepage, then it lists all of our presences online. Please subscribe everywhere online, because you just never know. GoDaddy's doing weird things with websites, FYI, with the blog, and they keep changing things and just irritating me. Anyways, so sorry about that, tangential. But lithium makes it more difficult for me to be creative in thinking about solutions. And I am trying various things, various treatment modalities. FYI, of course. I'm pretty much always experimenting and trying something new, whether it's in my garden or it's whether in regards to my health. I'm just the canary in the coal mine. I don't need brain retraining. Thank you very much. I actually used to be a social worker. I actually went to a psychiatrist for 7 years. I actually understand what the qualifications are to do some of the things that brain retraining specialists do, which there's a reason why they can't possibly be insured, because no insurer in their right mind would insure people who are sorely unqualified to do such work. Your brain, you have to take responsibility for your brain. Do not give responsibility for what goes in your brain to someone else. We are to maintain a sound mind. If you are emptying out your brain and accepting and following the, say, walking downstairs, I've got experience with these things. I've got experience with behavior modification. I've got experience, not experience, but I have educational background in brainwashing, literally. So if anyone is qualified to speak on this, it's myself. My educational background is psychology. Thank you very much. Like I said, I went to a psychiatrist when I was young for 7 years. I learned a lot of these coping skills and coping mechanisms. Also, you might want to look into the occultic basis of psychiatry and psychology. There are so many problems with those programs that I can't even begin to enunciate all of them. So no, the problem is not me. The problem is that lithium is toxic, and the problem is this toxic world. I am not the problem. I'm just the canary in the coal mine. I am sounding the alarm and telling you this is what happens. If someone is given a pill of lithium and then they have side effects, they aren't told that they need brain retraining in order to not have side effects, because that is the intention of the chemical. It's so ridiculous. Okay. So it's just sound mind. They just need Jesus. All right. This is not a faith-based video, but that's what they need. If you don't need the occultic brainwashing. That's what you need. You just need the Lord. Okay. Moving on. In this metal infused air, in summary, this is particularly of benefit to the military-industrial complex. This permits for targeted non-native EMF attacks, which were documented in the 90s, perhaps prior, I don't know, but for sure in the 90s in some of the wars in the Middle East. Those poor people, I just can't even imagine. And that has continued, and of course MK Ultra was part of that as well, and that was what, in the 60s, MK Ultra? I don't even remember. Another use for the military-industrial complex of this metal-infused air, which includes lithium, is the weaponized weather, of course. Populace control, as I've already mentioned, it induces the slave mentality. Surveillance, as we've discussed. And this is all part of the transhumanistic, technocratic agenda. As we breathe it, we drink it, we eat it, we absorb these toxins in our skin. And there truly is no escape, because while there may be different issues in different areas, and you may be able to control and reduce, for example, detectable radio frequencies in certain areas, there are frequencies such as ELF, which I have previously discussed in actually, I believe it was Olivet Discourse 9.5, because I was studying prophecy, the Textus Receptus Greek, and finding that it could possibly be referencing the ELF frequencies. This is all part of it, okay? All this must needs come to pass, but the end is not yet. The most common symptoms, now we are going to be thinking more along the lines of chronic low-level exposure, not acute exposure at high levels. So lithium toxicity typically is going to be disclosed in regards to the acute overdoses. See, it literally says lithium toxicity overdose happens when you got too much of it in your body. And at that point, then you have these intestinal symptoms like vomiting and diarrhea, but then it also does disclose the neurological symptoms like confusion and uncontrolled shaking. Gee, is it any surprise that so many people are confused today? Which, again, fulfillment of prophecy. I'm sorry, I can't not speak about how this relates to prophecy that has been given to us so long ago. It's just blows my mind. Okay, and it does say it can be fatal. And of course, it's mainly used for bipolar disorder. It has a narrow range of safety, so it doesn't take much to have too much in your body. Alright, acute on chronic. Okay, so one of the issues that we have is dry mouth. And quite frankly, we both attributed it to the smoke from the West. I think it started in July. It could have been August here. And we attributed it to the smoke from the West because it was around that time that the smoke started to come here to the Midwest. However, retrospectively, it could possibly be just that lithium was being dumped on us, because the cloud caller, I have only just recently learned about that in regards to lithium. And I don't believe that was in any of the books. I don't know where I read that. I don't know where I picked that up at. So kidney health, so the acute, basically stomach problems, bloated stomach. Our cat has had a bloated stomach for months. I've started to have bloating for no apparent reason. All right, here they're like, oh, well, if it's moderate to severe, then you'll get neurological symptoms after the gastrointestinal symptoms. Yeah, they're full of it. Mental status changes, mild confusion to utter delirium, bat crud crazy. All right, tremors, coordination and balance issues. I've also had this issue more. Non-native EMFs, specifically radio frequencies, but non-native EMFs in general, are in reality known to be causative of diabetes. And fasting is one of the things that is very beneficial in regards to detox in general. However, I just this past week, I'm starting to have balance issues and vertigo if I'm not eating in the evenings now. If I try to fast more than 24 hours ish, 24 to 30 hours, I'm starting to have these issues here. So I'm trying a new protocol. We'll see how it goes. Slurred speech. Dave and I have actually both had this a little bit with slurred speech, muscle twitches, uncontrolled eye movement. And we haven't had uncontrolled eye movements or anything of that nature, but so I will also, okay, whoops, I did not need to do that. Hold on, I just messed up. All right, if you go here to our website and search for microwave sickness, the major points of entry, basically, of microwaves, the major ways in which you're going to be impacted by microwaves are going to be your lungs, your eyes, and your skin. And this is an extremely extensive article. If you don't want the faith-based part in there and how it relates to prophecy, well, guess what? I make it very easy to skip that part. But the let's see here, the symptoms, very extensive symptoms. Know the symptoms. You need to know these things. But remember, if they can do it with chemicals, they can do it with EMFs, and vice versa. So where were we at here? Hyperthermia, seizures, coma. The two things, what has been extremely impactful for us has been the polydipsia, the excessive thirst, and the dry mouth, which ends up basically leading to a sore throat. Oh, look, I didn't even notice this. Lithium can cause diabetes and oh, I didn't even notice that before. Okay. So, and these are actually the symptoms of diabetes and symptoms. All right, so there we go. There you go. There you go. Excessive thirst, dehydration, including dry mouth, fatigue, and dizziness. Of course, also radio frequencies, microwaves can cause dry mouth, dehydration as well. All right, let's see. Cause eye pain. It can cause eye pain, pressure in the brain, blurred double vision, dry eyes, apparently. What's over here? That's all about. What are 3 signs of lithium toxicity? Alright, vision changes. Let's look and see if we missed any symptoms, side effects. Acne, apparently. What is this? Oh, it's dry mouth. Okay. Dry mouth, nausea, blurred vision, dizziness, headache, migraines. I've been having a migraine a week, if not 2, which is absolutely terrible and very damaging for my productivity. Highly problematic. Drowsiness, sometimes have the drowsiness. Hair loss, confusion, irregular heartbeat. Irregular heartbeat I have from non-native EMFs, so that's not necessarily indicative of anything. What is this? Muscle twitches, we already discussed that. Unusual tiredness or weakness, muscle weakness. This week I have been weak, you guys. It is ridiculous. I literally went out and was gonna move something, it was only like 20 pounds or whatever, and I went, no, I'm just too weak to do so. And the day after I have a migraine, I'm always weak as well. Apparently it can cause loss of appetite. It hasn't been a problem for us. Weight gain, I don't know if I gained any weight or not. Not sure. But tinnitus is when you hear ringing in your ears. Ringing in your ears, also EMS. So is it lithium or is it EMS? Don't know. All right. So lots and lots and lots of possible symptoms, but the primary ones are going to be confusion, memory loss, headache or migraine, eye issues, and excessive thirst. Dry mouth. So let's look. So I already got these pictures. All right. So we got this one here. So you can see this was at dusk. Yeah. So there's those. Again, I'm sorry. They're not great pictures. I did my best, you guys. Paint this here, NASA watch. Painting the sky with lithium. Okay. Right there. There's a lithium sunset. DeviantArt. There's another one. Lithium sky. That's some sort of YouTube video. All right. Lithium skies. I'm not the only one talking about this, apparently. Lithium is sometimes even the Google AI. By the way, Google AI now offers information on Bible verses and interpretation of it. Wow, how trustworthy. Obviously, this is not trustworthy, but even the AI is saying it's sometimes released into the sky as a tracer to measure high atmospheric winds. See, Google here even is telling you lithium is literally dumped into our sky. It's not a theory. When released from a rocket, they glow red in sunlight, creating a visible trail. Oh, it's not harmful to people or life on the ground. Don't worry about it, you guys. No, don't worry about it. What we got here? This is from May 19... Oh yeah, I wanted to point out this is not a new issue. May 1964. Okay, they were talking about this in May of 1964. About lithium being in the sky. Okay, being placed. So a mechanism for vertical transport of sodium from the lower atmosphere is suggested. So they're even talking about here, how can we get sodium and lithium by, extension, because this is talking about them being in the twilight air glow. How can we get that up into the sky? By Canada. Up in Canada, Canadian Journal of Physics. All right, one more here. April 16th in 1979. So literally, this is from the University of Alaska Fairbanks, which I believe, if memory serves me correctly, is the university that was connected with HAARP up in Alaska. And if you watch some of the videos not videos, some of the clouds, they often come from Alaska. So there's a lot of generation going on up there as regards to, you know, what we're seeing everywhere else. Red sky at night, scientists delight. In recent years, so this is 1979. In recent years, artificially red, that means man-made, nighttime skies have been created over limited parts of the earth. Okay? And then here it says, oh, well, lots of Alaskans and Yukoners, they're familiar with the barium releases from rockets, causing auroras. In somewhat similar fashion, it's possible to slowly spew out lithium metal from a rocket to produce a long, visible red trail. Sunlight shining on the lithium atoms cause them to be excited so that they glow with a red light. Okay? This is just crazy. All right, so as I said, I'm solutions-based, not problems-based. Obviously, I can't do anything about what's going on above my head. So, I typically don't worry about it. I don't focus on it. However, as I said, I'm trying to understand some of the mechanisms so that I can hopefully figure out more solutions. How do you get lithium out of your body? Well, I don't know. The information is not readily available online. Shocker, shocker. Most of what I normally would have looked at has been scrubbed. I'm not finding that information in any of the books that I have. As to how to get it, how to detox it effectively without causing problems. Of course, this is not medical information or advice. Consider this whole video satire because obviously I'm just, you know, some crazy lady who doesn't even know what she's talking about, even though she does all of the research and, you know, all of these things. Well, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. Except in the latter days when, you know, they're trying to kill off all life. So I control what I can. I focus on what I can control. I've got tons of information on here. If you, click here to browse posts, then you can browse through lots of posts if you want to. There's all sorts of information on the website, you know, to learn how to control what you can in all sorts of ways. So, but supporting detox, here's what I do. Okay, so the fasting, I typically fast 2 days a week. I'm not so sure I'm going to be able to continue to do so. Intermittent fasting is highly recommended, which I typically do as well if I'm not actually just doing the regular fasting, which again, I don't know if I'm going to be able to continue to do that because I'm apparently developing some blood sugar issues. I do dry brushing, Epsom salts baths. It's 1 cup of magnesium Epsom salts or magnesium hydroxide chloride, I think it is, flakes, ancient minerals, bath flakes, and then 1 cup of baking soda, 1 cup of either of those magnesium options, and then 1 tablespoon of borax, and you soak in it. You want to work your way up in that regard. Those also offer detox. I do not have recommendations up for infrared saunas, but there are 2 that are better, I believe, than others. I am not an affiliate for any of them. I understand it's really hard to find that information online because everybody's an affiliate and they make hundreds of dollars if you buy, an infrared sauna. Sweating certainly is of benefit. What else do I do? Castor oil packs can help with detox. I'm forgetting something. Coffee enemas, and then obviously, of course, just reducing what's going in your body, and that includes reducing your EMF exposure. There's a lot you can do within your home and your car, etc. I also have one on car. There it is, got a EMS in cars here. Supplements like NAC, inositol. Dave takes inositol. I don't take inositol. It didn't do anything for me, but it's been a while and my body's changed, so it's possible that it might be a benefit now. Maybe I should look into that and consider trying that again. So there are things that you can do. Ginkgo biloba, But obviously I'm on the EMS tab. Things to consider. Hang in there. I know a lot of people are suffering right now. I'm one of them as well. If I drop off, don't freak out, even though who knows what's going to happen in the next few weeks. Generally, they don't tell us when things are going to happen, though. So I think it's probably just going to be like the solar eclipse, the so-called solar eclipse, and people are going to freak out and buy all of the prepper crap and then not know what to do with it. But who knows? I know who's in control, and that's where I place my faith. So, love you guys, regardless of what your faith is. You've been prayed for or sent good vibes, whichever you prefer. Thanks so much for being here. Hang in there. Have a most beautiful and blessed day. Non-toxic out.